Good day. I'm Andrew Jones, the VAT man. I recently did the home building and renovating show at the NEC, and thank you very much for anybody that came to the stand to speak with us. Met some fantastic people with some really exciting projects. So that was great. That was great. So one of the questions that came up surprisingly often, and I'm sorry I've had to make some notes here, but the question was the cheapest way in relation to the VAT to build my house. Now, the VAT is 20% potentially of your build budget. So the question should really have been the cheapest way to build my house, because if you spend more, the VAT will be more. If you spend less, the VAT will be less. Now, I understand there are fine details where you can trim here and there by doing certain things, but I've made some notes on the most common, let's have a look, 4, I think it is, methods. And when I mean methods is how you go about getting it built. Do I get a builder in to do job lot? Do I actually lay the bricks? And all those options in between. So I'll go through them very quickly with you. The percentages of saving that I am quoting are the industry standard, what the experts actually say. So I've looked into it, but it's not from a VAT point of view. It's purely what I've managed to find, be it online or speaking to some of the big hitters within the self-build industry. So I'd like to think it's correct, but it's not based on fact in relation to our VAT reclaims. So here goes. The most expensive, but the easiest way to get your new house built or your barn converted or whatever would be under a design and build system. So what that basically means is that you employ a company who specializes in design and build, and you will say to them, I've bought that, I want this built, yeah, how much is it going to cost, and get on with it. So they would then do the drawing, submit the planning, and do everything from actually putting the first pencil on paper, which is a bit out of date, but you know what I mean, to you, them potentially helping you carry your furniture in, maybe, or close to it. So that would be the most expensive option. Now, that's very similar to something called main contractor route. And that is pretty much where you would get a main contractor in to do job lot, also known as a turnkey. But so those two are quite similar and by far the most expensive. Now, if you were to get a main builder in and to do, say, wind and watertight, and what I mean by that is to build the house, the outside, so it looks like a house to me. I wasn't going to say me and you, but to me, it looks like a house, and then pretty much you subcontract the rest out. So you get your own plumber, your own electrician, and you go and be involved in buying some of the materials and so forth. That should give you a 10% saving on the cost of the turnkey or design and build type system, right? So there's a 10% saving there. And if you're talking about £300,000, that's £30,000 saving. So that would be a cheaper option. Now, the next cheapest option would be if you self-project managed. And what I mean by that is if you were in charge of buying the materials and getting different trades in at different times of the project. So starting off with a ground worker to put the slab in, then moving on to the SIPS company or the timber frame company and so on, then a roofer, then the window company, then your electrician, your plasterer, your plumber, your carpenter, all these different trades throughout inside the house, your heating engineer, all these people, and then on the outside, your patio, your landscape gardener, all these types of trades come in, and that would be the next cheapest way, and probably the most popular within the industry in relation to people who saying, I'm doing a self-build. That would probably be the most common. Now, the saving there on the turnkey price should be about 20%. So, and that is open to everyone. But one of the things you need to be considerate about is what do you do for a living and how much time and energy do you want to put into this project? Because that, being in charge of that project for the 18 months, 2 years of your life is quite demanding, and every day you get up and there's a challenge to face. If you're a worrier, I'm not sure that that is for you. So just bear that in mind. Also, what you do for a living, what I mean by that is, are you able to take a phone call in work? Are you able to say to work, I'm slipping out for half an hour, and you run over the site or you run somewhere to get materials because this and this has happened and so forth? Are you able to leave work to do a site meeting with someone and so on? So it is demanding. So it is something that you should really consider all your options on that. And then finally, the DIY, as I would call it, rightly or wrongly, where you maybe have a skill set or you're in the trade and you're able to do half, 75% of the work yourself. Now, I would expect that saving to be 25, maybe 30% on the turnkey price. So there is a saving, but obviously you must have that skill set and that trade in the first instance, or many trades, or be able to turn your hand at a bit of everything. So I'm really sorry, I wasn't able to answer the question on the thumbnail, on the cover of this video, but it's something for you all to think about. Having been in my working life, I started out doing development, then I sold building materials for a living, and for the last 14 years, I've been doing VAT reclaim. So I've been pretty much lots of side of the fence to be able to look at all the angles. So that's just my personal opinion, although as I said at the start of the video, some of those percentages that I mentioned are the industry recognized percentages. So hopefully that's given you an insight into not so much the VAT and the cheapest way to keep the VAT down, but the cheapest way to keep the project down. But as I said, there's a lot more to think about, and obviously the budget's important, but am I prepared to put my life on pause? Do I have the time, the energy? Do I have a job that I can run about in? And so on and so on. Also, if you're self-employed and you say, well, yeah, I can do it, what detrimental effect is that going to have on your business in relation to being on site and the saving? I'll give you one more very quick example that's come to mind. There was a gentleman that I had a similar conversation with to this video, and he said to me, I see exactly what you're saying. I take on board what you're saying, Andrew, but I flip Tesla for a living. And if I have to go somewhere at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and the New York Stock Exchange is open and Tesla's going up 10% in a day, which is not unrealistic from my understanding, then I will lose a fortune and not the £5 that I can save here and there, and the £20 that I could have saved on running to get the plaster from somewhere else, and so on and so on. So I see what he says. So there's a lot to consider, guys. So anyway, I hope you find this video of use. And if you've got any questions on that, I'm quite happy to speak to people, although it's not quite my specialist subject, but I'm always available for a chat to anyone in doing a self-build. Thanks for the support to the channel, guys. It's magnificent. Thank you. Ta-ra.